So thank you very much. I've had 32 years in the what I call the mining industry, not the exploration industry, and I'm a discovery geologist, not an exploration geologist. I've had some direct involvement in a number of discoveries, the most notable of which was the 1.5 million ounce gold discovery called Golden Gift underneath the Stawell gold mine. Now, there we developed a concept that the 3 million ounces that had been produced at the time were situated on the western side of what we interpreted was a doubly plunging basalt dome, and the whole thing had been offset on a fault over the top of itself, and the other half of the ore body was likely to be down in this position. Now, I didn't have access to 3D modelling technology, so I went down to the Stawell supermarket and bought a watermelon for about $2.50 and presented that to the board by slicing it through where the fault had come over the top and throwing it over the top of itself and then sticking a couple of niddling needles through the top into the bottom to represent the proposed drill holes. And presented this to the board on a nice little plate so it didn't get the board room table messy. And the board knocked me back. So I diverted $200,000 from my West Australian gold budget to drill 2 700-metre holes, and both of them hit the ore body, and that was a 1.5 million ounce discovery that kept the mine going for another 15 to 20 years. Now, what relevance does this have to graphite in South Korea? Well, what that taught me, and the other discoveries that I've been associated with taught me, is that perseverance and hard work only gets you so far. You've got to have a very good idea, and you've got to have an idea that's a bit different from everybody else. And what I'm going to present to you today is another great idea. And the great idea is, what if we can produce high-grade, high-purity graphite in Korea to feed the world's largest lithium-ion battery industry, right on its doorstep? And Peninsula Mines is the company that's doing it. So the key to have success in this industry, clearly discovery, and that's what I'm all about. But it's also recognising in these sorts of industries that you've got to have a product that the market wants. It's no use finding squillions of tonnes of graphite in the middle of Africa that you can produce a lot of tonnes from, and then finding that you don't have the product that the market wants or wants in the sort of volume you want to produce it at. So we're looking to discover, well, we've already discovered, but also to do the downstream test work to allow us to develop a product that the market wants. And what the market wants is high purity, anode grade, spherical graphite at 99.95% purity. That's what the anode manufacturers are telling us when we're in their factories with their blue overalls on with sort of graphite all over them as they've been making anodes all morning. They're saying, we want high purity, anode grade, spherical graphite, and we need at least 30 or 40,000 tonnes of that per annum by 2020. So that's what we're doing. And we've identified an outstanding window of opportunity. Korea, as I mentioned, is the world's largest lithium-ion battery manufacturer, but it depends almost entirely on high-cost graphite products from China. Now, China now wants to become the largest lithium-ion battery manufacturer in the world, and they're also closing down a number of their dirtier processing plants to produce that high-quality spherical graphite product. So that's had the effect of restricting supply of the absolutely essential elements of the lithium-ion battery. If you don't have graphite, you don't have a lithium-ion battery. In fact, you don't have any battery. They've all got graphite in them. It's the number one thing, and it's not going to be replaced, but there's no better conductor. And interestingly, Korea was the world's largest graphite producer in the 1970s, and a number of large flake graphite deposits were identified and just left to sit there, and we've now picked them up. But the other thing we're going to do is we're going to produce consistent, high-quality graphite, potentially in partnership with these offtake partners, so that they can depend on the quality of it and the phones that they make won't catch fire. And we're going to apply our ingenuity, primarily in the first sense applying modern exploration techniques to areas that have never had them applied before, so we can see where these deposits are going using our geophysics, but also partnering up with experts in the downstream processing of these high-quality products, like a major group in Germany and the CSIRO in Australia and metallurgical organisations as well. So how do you make a battery? Well, how do you make an anode is more to the point. So Korea, to date, has been at this end of the process, producing the batteries and also making the anodes. Traditional mining of this product will generate a flotation concentrate, a bit like an iron ore concentrate. But there's a gap in between. Now, Korea is interested in, some of the companies in Korea are interested in going a little bit upstream, but we would like to beat them to it and take our product downstream to produce this very high value product. So you get about $800 US to $1,200 US, depending on the flake size for the primary concentrate. We can get that up to US $3,000 to $4,000 a tonne for this upgraded product, the high purity product, and we're doing the test work for that right now. And we can even double that if we get to that high purity coated graphite product to put straight into the battery anode. So that's the place you want to be. Why South Korea? Well, it's the biggest lithium-ion battery producer. It's got a lot of graphite. It's also got an outstanding fiscal regime. 22% corporate tax, no royalties, no local taxes, foreign investment incentives. We've already been offered the block of land next to a steel plant, next to a port, to put our spherical graphite production facility. Roads, port facilities, power. All we need to do is plonk our blue and beige spherical graphite machine in place, and it's just down the road from where we're doing our resource delineation work and looking to develop our first project. We're applying our exploration techniques, which are very well developed. We've applied them in areas which are a lot harder to find deposits than you have here, to areas that just haven't had the work done at all. It's been in a time capsule waiting for us to discover it. What an opportunity. We've proven the metallurgical characteristic to produce at least concentrate. We've already got some agreements, but we've generated very strong relationships with some of these groups, including the people on the factory floor. So we're not dealing with middlemen, we're dealing with the people making these things. And we're now drilling our key targets. So where are our key projects? We've taken deliberately a portfolio approach to our project development plan. We've got 4 high-grade graphite projects in the northwest of the country, surrounding and within 50 kilometres of the centres of battery and anode production and steel making in this area. So Unha is the one we're drilling first. That has the best metallurgy. We've been able to produce a 97.6% grade concentrate. That's a pretty good value concentrate. We'll get $800 to $1,000 a tonne from that, but we'd now like to take it further to quadruple that value. And we have another project, Gapyeong, which is really offering the great tonnage potential that we need to generate the sort of levels of production that we want to target. So this is the pathway we're on. We've basically done all the hard yards. We're hopping off the exploration roller coaster and we're now on a value creation escalator. We've got the projects established and we're now doing the resource drilling. We're doing the metallurgical testing to establish the 99.95% concentrate potential. That's the spherical graphite anode grade material that is quadruple the value of the concentrate. And we've developed the relationships. We just have to turn them into agreements which will flow from being able to produce what they've asked us to do directly. I've been sitting here. The person who's asking me to produce the product's been sitting there. So we're already in stage 2 in terms of the resource drilling. We've identified potential for 10 million tonnes at around the 10% graphite mark. Our objective is to produce 20 to 60,000 tonnes per annum of concentrate. POSCO have asked us to produce 36,000 tonnes per annum of anode grade spherical graphite by 2020. That's 2020. That's when we want to be producing it. We're going to give the market what they want. Exactly what they want. And that's the key. The first project we're drilling is the Unha graphite project. We picked that not because it's the biggest and best grade, but because it has the best metallurgy and the best flake size distribution. We're drilling there now. This morning we announced that we drilled and hit exactly what we thought we would, because we already know it's there. We've sampled it at surface and we've done the electromagnetics. Graphite is a fantastic conductor. Normally it's an annoying thing when you're looking for base metals because you think, oh, I found a whole lot of copper and lead. Oh, it's only graphite. Well, in this case, you can use that electromagnetic to tell you exactly what is there even before you drill. So lo and behold, this morning we announced that we had hit 4 out of the 5 drill holes. The only one that didn't hit it was drilled the other way to see if there was another unit in the area. And they've all confirmed what we already knew. The other key graphite project we're moving forward with is this Gapyeong project. Very high grade, 16% graphite, kilometre long, greater than 10 metres thick at surface. We've sampled the surface, we know the orientation, we've done the electromagnetics, we know it goes for at least 500 metres down, and there's potential for millions of tonnes there. And because it's so high grade, and because it's so thick, and because we're getting our big value accretion at the downstream stage, we could potentially mine this from underground and take it to significant depth. So the potential of those first 2 projects will give us the capacity to reach that initial target of producing 30 to 40,000 tonnes of high purity, high value spherical graphite. It's just now a matter of continuing the drilling program and moving that through to the next stage. And in parallel with that, so rather than taking a find a deposit, do the metallurgy, see if someone wants to buy the product technique, we're doing all those 3 things in parallel. We're drilling the resources, and we've also started the downstream spherical graphite testing. We've generated the high-grade concentrate sample, 5 kilos, from Unha, and we're doing Gapyeong at the moment. We'll send that high-purity concentrate to Germany, a group called Dorfner Anzaplan, who specialise in the pilot-scale production of this high-purity product. We'll then look to purify that to greater than 99.95% graphite purity, but we want to use a thermal non-hydrofluoric acid technique, which has been piloted by the CSIRO in Australia, and we're going to work in partnership with them in this process, and maybe take it even further to produce our own coated spherical graphite, which is the very high value product. And then the next step will be to take it through to scoping, then feasibility study, to produce at least the first module, park our first little blue and beige spherical graphite machine in place next to the port, just to the north of our project. We've also got other exciting opportunities, taking advantage of the fact that we can pick up areas of previous mineralisation, previous mining that just haven't had modern exploration done to them. This is more my usual bread and butter. We've got 10 kilometres of strike, multiple deposits, near an operating mine, previous intersections of 7 metres at 14.6% zinc, 2% copper, 2.1 metres, 18.7% zinc, 11% lead, 3% copper. The ore body's already discovered. It occurs over a kilometre here. We've extended for another kilometre. That's another opportunity within this company. That's a discovery opportunity. It's still on the exploration roller coaster. It's a bonus on top of a very predictable business plan, which will deliver a graphite business that produces hundreds of millions of cash flow in the near future. So, right now, we've established the projects. We've got 4 identified flake graphite projects. We know how big they are. We know how high grade they are. We know they've got the requisite metallurgy to produce at least concentrate of the right sort of grade. We've now identified the potential for 10 million tonnes at around 10% graphite. We'll now do the downstream spherical graphite testing to prove that we can produce the product that the anode manufacturers have asked us directly. We've got the relationships. We've already papered one relationship for a large flake graphite. We've got advanced discussions with these key Korean end users, and we'll look to put those agreements in place. So the 3 immediate milestones are drilling results and resources from our graphite project drilling. Downstream spherical graphite test work to prove that we can produce that very high value product. And thirdly, put in place the sort of agreements we need to give us the confidence to go to that next step, which is when we create a cash flow producing business. And the bonus is we've got a high grade zinc discovery to boot. We've a discovery made and drilling to follow that through. And all that in a measly 7 million market cap. Now bear in mind all that boring stuff, trying to get access, getting tenements granted, getting drill rigs on the ground, getting the metallurgy done, getting the relationships going, is done. We're drilling, results will continue flowing, and these agreements will be put in place. So there's not a lot of downside on a 7 million market cap. We're really dealing with something that's ultimately potentially $1 billion business. We've got 1.4 million in cash, which doesn't sound much, but it's plenty to deliver these next stage milestones, do the downstream testing, that's going to cost about $100,000, and then do this initial stage of drilling to set up these key resource drill outs, and then go to that next phase, potentially by bringing investment directly into our Korean graphite company. So we've set up the business, we've put the projects in it, that's the business that we can drive the Korean business forward and potentially even bring investment directly in there and list it on a separate, like it's listed on the Korean exchange. And build that value up, which will feed through to the headline company. But it might flow through anyway, so we might keep it at that Peninsula level. And then you've got the bonus. The team, I've had 32 years experience, a discovery track record, but also a corporate track record in taking things through. The half a dozen or so discoveries I've had involvement with have all gone into production on my watch. And one of my partners in crime, Danny Noonan, is also a co-executive of the company. He was at Stawell when we developed the Golden Gift. He's one of the most experienced resources and mining geologists in Australia. Spends most of his time in Korea though. And a lawyer to keep us all honest, and then another geologist, but more on the finance game, in Martin Pyle, who was a director of Hartley's. So give us a ring anytime, either before you've bought shares or after, just to see what's going to be happening next, and I'll be very happy to talk to you. Thank you very much.